Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti.
Good evening, Source Nation. I am your host, Tem'Ti Sahura, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Renaissance Relationship Therapy, the show that gives you the relationship view you never knew, and it's a view that has the power to change everything. Now, Source Nation, unlike other mistakes in our lives, the mistakes committed in love hurt way more because they hit us closer to our hearts. It's so easy to get bogged down in the near rose-colored concepts of love that we see in movies and magazines, yet breakups and divorce rates are at all-time highs. The perfect lovebirds whose marriage you saw on Facebook last year, they've broken up already. What happened? Fact is, life just caught up with them. Things changed. And the truth, if you really want to know, love hits hard. Now, we can read 1,000 books, be in tens of relationships, but there are some things about love we are only going to learn the hard way. And if we keep on avoiding the tough truths, then the lessons from love only become harder. So, the hard lessons on love that you won't listen to. This is the topic of today's show, and joining us later will be Timna Augustine. And she has her own show. She's a broadcaster in her own right, amazing person. She's no stranger to the Source Network because of the powerful insights that she offers on all things human when it comes to love, life, and relationships. Timna goes deep, and she has very few, if any, limits. And that's why she's the perfect person for us to bring on for today's show, which is the hard lessons on love that you won't listen to. So stay tuned for that, Source Nation. Also today, we are joined again by our special co-host, Krystal Scott. She goes by the name of the Conscious Capitalista, the Green Beauty Goddess, and she has 50 other titles. We can ask her about that later on because they change every week. But we'll be getting Krystal's opinion as well as asking why are the true lessons on love so hard in the first place? And we'll be doing that before we actually get into what those lessons are when our main guest comes on. So we have a lot to go through today's show. We're going to get right into it. But first, let me go ahead and thank our sponsors who have made this show possible. And they are Paper to Film Productions, Revolutionary Mills, Scott Cares Foundation, Urban Grandstand Digital, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Ren Ovations, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. Also, Source Nation, remember to tune in every other Monday for Love Zone Mondays with Kathy B and co-host Dr. D. Yvonne Young as they speak with us about applying principles to strengthen and restore our relationships as we strive for longevity and success. So, are you ready? The hard lessons on love that you won't listen to? Source Nation, we want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.
Stay tuned, Source Nation. You're listening live to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti.
Source Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio.
Are you burdened with unsatisfying emotional, spiritual, or mental relationships? Where and how do you start to fix everything? Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti is the relationship you never knew. Join Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti every Sunday with special guests, including you, that will inspire, enlighten, change, and even surprise you on what you thought about your relationship. If you're ready to go there, then Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti is already waiting. Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti. It's the relationship you never knew, and the one that is going to change everything.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti.
Source Nation, we are back with Renaissance Relationship Therapy. I'm your host, Tem'Ti and we will be talking with Coach Timna Augustine about the hard lessons on love that you won't listen to. That's coming up a little later on in the show. But first, let me bring on my co-host for the warm-up to our main conversation, the wonderful Krystal Scott. Hi, Krystal. I know you're there, running around in the background somewhere.
I am here, and I am not running at the moment. I did that earlier. Yeah.
How are you doing today, Krystal? It's great to have you here again. Look at that. So many people are like, oh, my God, we want her back. So you are.
I'm excited to be back. Always so much fun talking with you, Tem'Ti.
Absolutely. Likewise. So, again, just for, we don't want you to be a stranger. If there's anyone who hasn't heard of what you do, just give people a little brief introduction as to the world of Krystal Scott.
Tem'Ti, yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking. I am Krystal, and my passion is green living and green beauty. So that's the area that I focus on, basically helping us create beauty through healthy living. And that means everything that we not just eat, but everything that we think, everything that we see, that we listen to. So basically just feeding our cells and our spirit with the highest energy possible. That's basically what my mission is to share and give insights and information on what we can do to just create beauty in our lives, in our physical and spiritual health. And as I mentioned last week, I am in the process of relaunching, so that's coming up next. We're almost in July, but it'll be in August. So from now until then, I'm just working feverishly, getting everything ready to share with the world, and I'll have more of ways and resources available that I can specifically help people with in terms of green living and green beauty. So I'm super excited about that, and I will keep you posted as it continues to unfold and develop.
That's the whole thing about creating beauty in our lives, and we can all definitely appreciate something beautiful, like let's just say, you're living in a house or an apartment, and, it's just kind of junky. You got stuff peeling off the wall and this and that, but you're used to it. But when you step into another arena, and it could be, somebody else's space, and they've got everything lined up right there at that point, you automatically feel better because everything's in harmony. And we can actually do this stuff for ourselves. It just takes, I guess that's what you're going to be doing, showing people ways in which they can create beauty for themselves in their own environment. And it will actually make them feel better, right? And change their outlook on life, relationships, health, etc., right? It really makes an impact.
Absolutely, because it's right. It's about creating that balance internally as well as externally, and really the external is always a reflection of the internal anyway. So it's like getting our inside, our mind, body, spirit balanced on the inside, and then that's automatically going to reflect on the outside, and it's going to reflect in terms of the decisions we make and the way that we live.
I love it. So, all right. It's been an interesting 7 days, Krystal. I know it has been for me. Almost died twice. I guess your week wasn't that interesting.
Not that dramatic. But I'm glad that you're here to tell us. Can you tell us what it was like on the other side?
There was a lot of pain. It was red and dark. Man, toothache is not. It's not nice. It's not nice.
That's the truth.
When it hits you, oh my goodness, when you can't even open up your eyes, when the pain is so searing, it's like someone's got like a hot pitchfork and stuck it in the side of your head, and just left it there, and then plugged it in so that it doesn't go cold. And it was just, so it was definitely
descriptive. Yep.
Yeah, it was. So,
but I relate. Like I told you, when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, that tops the list of most painful experiences in life.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. And these things they can sometimes sneak up on you and whatnot. So the week was interrupted a little bit, but you can't stop the grind for anything. So as a matter of fact, for all the single folks in Atlanta, we still have an event coming up for you. And we actually just put it up on our website, the Meet My Types website last night. And on July the 25th in Atlanta, that is when we are going to be having our next classic. Okay, for those of you who don't know what classic is, you need to go to the website and take a look at the flyer. It says everything. You need to actually hook us up on social media because we're going to be giving you a lot of information on what classic is. And essentially, there's what people understand as what makes a classic relationship. What people go through now, a lot of stuff isn't classic. She's going through my phone. He doesn't want me to hang out with my friends. That's nonsense. When we're talking about a classic relationship, it's like, what? We connect. We talk. We respect each other. It's like the classic values, the things that never go old. You're never going to get tired of somebody respecting you, or somebody she respects me too much. I have a problem with that. You're never going to say that, You're always going to want those things. So classic is all about connecting with people on the right levels. And we've done it in a way that your conversations are going to be based on the right things because of what we give you to talk about in the event. Again, we can talk about it all day, but go to the website, read about it, and if you're an ATL and you're single and you're trying to connect with somebody on some real value, somebody who is actually your type, because you're not going to meet anybody random at our event. You're going to meet people who are specifically picked to synchronize with your nature. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So, if you're an ATL and you've been single for a while and you're fed up with a runaround, definitely check out Classic and get your tickets on sale. We make it a small event on purpose. So, it's intimate. You need to get on it now. So that's what I've been up to for the last 7 days, trying to get that going on. What about yourself, Krystal? Anything interesting coming down your pipeline?
That sounds so fun, Tem'Ti. I'm so glad that you're coordinating that event, and it's just so needed. I like how you said it's about getting back to the classic ideas about love that never go out of style, and in a time when we live in a society where everything is so in now and out the next moment, and everything is so microwaved and it's so fast and it's here one moment, gone the next. These are the classics that will always be the fundamentals of love.
Absolutely.
It's awesome that you're creating an event around that idea. So one exciting thing that I had a chance to do last week, actually a week ago today, because a week ago was Father's Day. So happy Father's Day, belated to all the dads out there. And I had a chance to go to a daddy-daughter dance, and it was beautiful. It was just the cutest little thing to see all the little girls with their princess dresses on with glitters and sequins and all the dads, and it was, the dads would have like bow ties on that matched the dress of the daughter. It was just so cute but so important, because what it does is it helps to create for the daughters, an understanding of how to be treated by a man when she gets older, and it's a time for daughters and dads to bond and for her to feel the love of her dad and to begin to understand what love is. And so I thought it was just the most wonderful experience, and the dads loved it. They were just so engaged, and so it was wonderful to see men, be so involved with their daughters and creating that bond. And it's a memory that's going to last for a lifetime. For some of them, they go every year. It's like a tradition for them, and they look forward to it. And it's her chance to be a princess and his chance to be, her king. And so it was very, very touching, and it's a special memory. So I really enjoyed that.
Wow, it's interesting. There's actually something about that we'll probably get a chance to talk about later. Something that you just said, and it's made me think, you know what? Yeah, the impact later on in life. We'll touch on that. But, today's show, we're talking about hard lessons on love that people won't listen to. And of course, I've got to ask, why are these lessons so hard in the first place? What makes a hard lesson, especially on something like love, where, people obviously need to be good about it because they find themselves in and out of relationships. So it's like, okay, you've been in how many relationships and you're only 25? You're supposed to be a bit of an expert now. You're supposed to have learned something. But yet, some of these core lessons are not getting through. Why do you think it's so hard, Krystal?
Well, because as we talked about, one of the reasons could be because we don't always want to think about the hard part of love. We kind of get caught up in the fantasy idea of love and thinking that it's always going to be like the happily ever ending part of a fairy tale. And though there will be those moments, but that's not the whole story. That's not even the whole story of the fairy tale. Because in every fairy tale, there was some pretty dramatic experiences that had to be, and circumstances that they had to overcome in order to get to the happily ever after in the first place. There was a dragon they had to slay. There was an evil king they had to outsmart. There's
blood and death, beheading.
Yes. Poisoning.
Yeah, it's no joke.
It's not, and it's only after they overcome all that do they get to the happily ever after. So, so the hard lessons, part of that is just understanding that relationships, that every day, just like with the weather, every day is not sunny. There will be some stormy days, some hurricane days, some tornado days, and how do we get through that and come out on the other end? Because eventually the sun will come back out again. If again, and this is something we'll go into as we move into what some of those lessons are, but I think one of the key things to keep in mind from the beginning is your reason for even being in the relationship in the first place. And really evaluating whether the relationship overall is serving you and serving the other person at the highest level.
Yeah, that is true. And for a lot of people, what you just said, how is this relationship going to serve me at the highest level? To even think about that, I know when I was growing up, that was never a question I asked. How are you going to help serve my purpose? You just don't think about stuff like that. And when you never get into the habit of thinking like that, we were never taught to have these conversations at church or at school or even with my parents. So you grow up not challenging yourself to ask or understand these questions. And, when you do get into relationships, you're more so doing it because of the situation. As I say, it's a situationship. It's a situation. Well, she knows my friend, and we all go to the same place, so we hang out. That's the situation. You're not necessarily relating on anything, especially if you don't even relate to yourself and can even express what your own purpose in life is. If you can't explain your own purpose, you're missing something in your own relationship. You're supposed to be able to know what your purpose is, move in a certain direction, and when you come across someone else in your life, you're supposed to be able to relate to purposes. That's what gives you foundation. That's what helps you become friends. That's what helps you understand each other on a deeper level and have instant value for that person, and vice versa. And when you have all those things in place, then you're much more open to love, to failing and trying again. And I say that because when we think about the real good friends that we've had from when we were in school, look at how many times we've had fights. Look how many times we've had disagreements, bad communication, just pissed each other off in various ways. Yet you always found a way of reconnecting. It was ride or die because you have something on a deeper level that you value about that person, something that, other people drop off, but you stay, you keep that person in your life, and that's the type of connection we should be looking for with our partners. But we don't, because, when you introduce sex into the equation, then you get the whole chemical thing that I guess gets in the way, and we never look at the real value. And it's unfortunate because if we had relationships like we have our friendships, oh my goodness, divorce lawyers would be like, give me a job, please. They'd be out at the traffic lights with their bowl because they'd be out of business. The foundations for real relationships, they're just simply not there at the moment, and again, we haven't grown accustomed to asking why. Because when we ask why my relationship isn't like this, why is my relationship failing, that's where, well, if you really want to know the answer, it's going to be a hard lesson. And a lot of the times we don't want to, the lesson's too harsh. We don't want to know. So until you're forced to, when you're in that relationship and you cannot escape it, and then the lessons are going to hit you and they're going to hit you hard. And if that happens sometimes in your 30s or in your 40s, you do find out that when you come out on the other side, you are actually better off for it. You're smarter, you're wiser, you don't create situations with people just for the hell of it, and you actually know a little more about how to create real relationships. So a lot of fundamental stuff has to change with the lessons that we give our kids, and I can see how this even connects into all the stuff you're doing, Krystal, because creating the right kind of environment in a household where people can talk, where there is peace, where there's no fear, those are the kind of environments we need to create for our children, because a lot of us never had that, and we're learning the hard way. What's your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. Absolutely, that's a great point. And one of the points I was going to touch on a little later on too, because the importance of a healthy relationship. What makes a healthy relationship? Well, it's two people who are healthy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, basically it's us as an individual being healthy and then connecting with another person who's also healthy, in the sense that we're in our mind, our body, our spirit, we're balanced, and we're not codependent on each other for happiness. We're not looking to the other person to be our whole world and to be our reason, to smile every day and to be the source of our happiness. They contribute to it, but they're not the source of it. And I think coming to it from that kind of a mindset, it kind of helps to lessen some of the maybe unfair expectations that people sometimes may have from another person or from the relationship that puts too much pressure that's not justified pressure, So, yeah, the idea of creating a healthy environment for you, and then when you team up with someone else who's also healthy, is together creating a healthy environment for the relationship to thrive is definitely fundamental for success.
What do you think are the again, I know you're still working on your project, but what are some of the simple things that, if somebody is single now and they're trying to meet someone, what is something really simple that they can do from the beginning to kind of set the tone that, this is going to be different. We're going to do things a little differently this time. we're gonna learn our lessons, and we're gonna be open and have good communication. If things need to change, we need to go, or know exactly what we need to do to change it and be realistic about it. What does it take to get to that point? Does it begin when you meet somebody, or does it actually begin before you even meet somebody, and you have to have this process going on for yourself?
Well, in my opinion, everything really starts before you meet that person, because whoever you are before you meet that kind of determines or has an impact on who you meet or how you meet them in the first place. Like I said last time we talked, it's not, we don't get what we want, we get what we already are,
right,
whether we know it or not.
Yeah,
we attract whatever is already on the frequency that we're vibrating, or we just match. We just become a match to whatever it is that we're being or feeling in those circumstances. So I think the always most important step is start with ourselves, and then from there we line up with what it is that we want.
So now, we're talking about the processes that people can consciously do to change how they learn in love, how they're open to the lessons. But a lot of the times, yes, we don't listen to the lessons, and we get, jump straight in. And, from stuff that, research in the past, and there was even some article, I think I may have sent it to you. And it was the one about the whole thing with the chemicals, with the testosterone and dopamine, and, how when we come across certain people and our chemicals interact, like we literally will lose our mind. The logical thought process is cut out of it. And all we're doing is going by our reaction to the chemicals. And we can end up in some, regrettable situations. And I think that's another huge reason why we don't take on board these lessons, because we're so used to these chemicals. And it seems like when we talk about love, we've heard about, oh my God, I had butterflies in my stomach and my heart was pumping. That sounds like the description of love. Like, oh yeah, you must be in love. Oh yeah, the stomach thing, the heart thing, and all that really is a chemical reaction. It's not a choice that we've made. It's not the result of any work that we put in. It's just because, that person had a certain level of testosterone that we reacted to. And it's crazy. I'm trying to find the article now, because there's like some really interesting things in here that I think everybody should be aware of the next time they come across somebody and they feel the earth move. Because it's not actually the earth, it's not them, it's your hormones. Have you actually got it pulled up yourself, Krystal? Because I'm just trying to get it up. Now, here we go. Okay, I see it.
I got it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So both males and females must have adequate testosterone for sexual attraction. And I think one of the things about this is when you're in a club, dudes is all extra manly for the night because they went to the gym and, hit 20 so that they could, look, extra pumped. And testosterone is flowing. And, of course, for women as well. If they're trying to, mark their territory, and get predatory with men, their testosterone levels are heightened. And then, of course, the lights are down in the club. So you're not just going by visuals now. All your other senses are kind of heightened. And when that testosterone hits you, all somebody's got to do is brush past you. It could be their sweat. It could be, just their energy. And it can draw you in. And the next thing you know, it's like, you're going home with someone and you don't even know their first name. And this happens. And this happens all the time. And it's not love. It's not nothing amazing. It's not like, wow, we just connected. One of the reasons is testosterone. What else did you see in that article that you thought was pretty interesting? Because, there are some things here. I know there's the one about the immune system. And this one is kind of crazy. when we're talking about the smell, the actual scent that people give off, we like the smell of men and women that have a different immune system to us. And the reason why is, and again, this goes back to evolution. If I'm immune to tuberculosis and, but I'm not immune to cholera, and you're immune to tuberculosis and also not immune to cholera, if me and you have children, that means our children are going to be vulnerable to cholera and they can die. So your immune system smells too similar to me. I'm not going to be naturally attracted to you. But if I come across somebody and their immune system is vulnerable to tuberculosis, but they are immune to cholera, I'm like, well, that's fine. I've got tuberculosis covered. Your immune system covers cholera. If we have children, our children will grow up to be healthy. They'll have a better chance. That is a genetic instinct. And when we smell that from somebody, we are automatically drawn in. They've even done experiments where they got people to, guys wore their T-shirts all day, and they did it with women as well. Everyone took off their T-shirts, and they put them in a bowl. And they asked everyone to go out and pick the T-shirt from a bowl, pick a random T-shirt and smell it, and ask which one smells better. 100% of the time, the women who chose the T-shirts that smell better, when they done the genetic test, the men had immune systems that were not similar to them. Ain't that amazing, Crystal? Isn't that amazing what goes on when we're talking about the chemicals of love and what's really involved in attraction? Have you ever heard of anything like that before?
No, I never have, and that's very interesting. And who would have ever thought that? Like, who would know? Like, our body is on this, operating on this level that we're not even consciously aware of. But our body, on a biophysical level, is communicating in a way that our conscious mind is not even aware of.
Right.
That's how advanced our physiology is.
It is. It's like autopilot, and if we're not trying to go where the pilot is going, then we have a problem. We're going to have a real problem. What else was there? Because I know there was even more.
Well, is that we tend to fall in love with someone who looks like us? What do you think of that?
That kind of goes into. Well, I know that there was the one about the caregivers. Because our primary caregivers in our life, whether it was our aunt and uncle that brought us up, or if it was our actual parents, whoever had that impact on our life, they created an imprint for love. That's the benchmark for love. If your mother treated you a certain way, you're not gonna, as a guy, you're not gonna be with a woman that's going to treat you less than what your mother did, because there's a level of comfort in love that you're used to. Anything below that, you're not gonna entertain. Anything similar to that, it's gonna stand out like a sore thumb. You're gonna be like, yep, and you don't even know why, but it will remind you of your mother. So there's a way that our parents can love us that can be similar in someone. There's a way that they can even look. If you love your father dearly and you have a real great relationship with him, and then you meet a guy that has eyes like your father, as creepy as it may sound, it's the actual realness. That if there's elements of your father within that guy, and again, it could be a physical attribute like looks, it could be the way the person dresses, it could be the cologne that they wear. It will trigger something off that makes you feel very familiar, and that familiar connection will automatically make you want to react to that person. Whether in your mind you haven't figured out, whether I don't even know if I like them, but physically you're going to be turned on by them. And it just kind of reminds me of what you were saying about the father-daughter dance. Fathers creating that imprint with their daughter, setting the standard for what they look for. Like when you come across another feeling like this, that's when you know you got a good guy. That's the transaction that's happening. And if it doesn't happen, unfortunately, you get people that fall for anything because they have no benchmark,
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the other ones I saw that was pretty interesting was falling in love. I think a lot of people know this one already. Falling in love is as addicting or as addictive as cocaine and nicotine, and they showed that the same areas of the brain that light up when you get high light up in exactly the same way when you're in love. When that dopamine fix gets into you, enhanced by the release of testosterone, oh my goodness, that's a powerful drug cocktail that is very hard to resist. And again, that's your butterflies in your stomach, your jittery hands, your sweat, and you're like, oh my God, no one's ever done this for me before. You're just smelling someone. That's what's going on. And I tell people, okay, your body has indicated that this is someone of interest. Now it's for your mind to get in on the process and ask more questions as to, okay, physically you're right for the part, you're right for the part. Mentally and emotionally, how well do you do? And that's the process that it's hard for us to go through that process with people if we don't have a process in place, or we don't know what questions to ask because we haven't learned the hard lessons yet. We haven't learned to ask them about what's your process, why do you want a relationship, where is your purpose taking you in life, what is your type, what type are you? And how, if I tell you my type, can you tell me if we're compatible? These are hard questions, and even if they sound a bit mechanical, the truth is you ask them anyway. 3 months into the relationship, when the dopamine wears down and the testosterone wears down, then you start asking these questions. Why are we together? Why did you take me home? If you didn't want me, why did you? We start asking why then. So it comes out. What's your preference? To ask why before you even got any history that everybody can answer honestly and without anger. So tough questions, but love, it's not a game. People's lives get ruined as a result of it. Especially if you get scarred early in life. Love doesn't take any prisoners. So we got to get into that process of learning our hard lessons and not necessarily running away from them. What do you think?
Yeah, good point. And I just as you were quoting from that article, there was another one that also offered some awesome advice, and this was from couples who have been successfully married for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And the title of the article is Every Successful Relationship is Successful for the Same Exact Reasons. So they basically took, the answers that they saw coming up repeatedly and as clues as to what makes relationships successful. And I guess if we keep finding ourselves in unsuccessful relationships, it's because we're doing maybe the opposite. And one of the first points that they mentioned is be together for the right reasons. And that's so fundamental. Like before anything else, let's really look at and investigate. What's our reason? What's our intent? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? Why are we pursuing this? And are the reasons, are they superficial reasons or are they genuine? And I think from that perspective, you build everything else and you get an idea of, you can project into the future what kind of longevity this relationship might have, because if you're for genuine reasons, then you're more likely to be willing to work through circumstances. But if the reasons are superficial, then it's easier for things to fall away, at the first few signs of challenge.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I wouldn't even go as far as saying that there needs to be a good reason or a bad reason, because it's all relative. It doesn't really matter as long as you have the same reason. If your reason is, well, you know what, I'm with you because I like smoking crack, and someone says, oh, you know what, me too, I love that. Guess what? We have a relationship, people. They have a purpose to get cracked out. And they have value because one has the lighter and one has the crack. It's a perfect combination. And the truth is, whether we like it or not, they'll probably go longer than most other relationships because at least they were honest. These crackheads been together like for 20 years, But they have a purpose. It was a purpose. We may not consider it a righteous or a good purpose, a beneficial purpose, but nonetheless, it was a purpose that served them. It was a purpose that they saw value in, and it was a purpose that they synchronized on, so they were able to stay in that purpose, be themselves, and be in the relationship. I guess we could all learn from crackheads, huh? we could all learn. But
we could.
That's something that that's absolutely key. Just
But I guess some of the reasons that they gave why people may get together for reasons other than love could include, money. It could include expectations from family and society. It could include age. It could include, well, we've been dating for 10 years, might as well get married. So those are some of the reasons why sometimes we may jump into love or into marriage or into relationships or into marriage that may not be because we genuinely, feel the love for this person that we want to spend our life with that person.
Right. Do you ever feel that, though, even if it was just for money? The reality is that, look, I'm with you for the money. And dude turns around and says, well, that's fine because I like spending money on you. There's a purpose. There's a reason. But the real thing that they need to also talk about is that, well, look, the money may not last forever. So when it's done, I'm out, yeah? We're done with this. We're good. If they can agree on that, then fair enough, because it's not necessarily the basis for a long-term relationship if it's based on money. So I think if you're going to be honest about that and you're with someone for money, then be realistic about what happens when or if the money runs out. Be realistic. And I think that's what hurts people most. So get together for reasons like money, but we'll still have the fairy tale expectation. This is going to last forever. And I think that's where the disconnect comes in.
But does anyone want someone to be with them just for money?
There's the reality, and this is funny. It's something that we're going to be talking about with Timna at the top of the hour. We know that a lot of women will focus on the security aspect of a relationship. Not necessarily all women, but there's a lot of women that will tend to think, especially if they have kids, the security, and if they're not worried about their partner's money, they're definitely worried about, well, my own, because I don't want to take on board another kid. You're a grown-ass man, and a lot of men a lot of men in the past have taken exception to that. Well, she's a gold digger, she's tight with her money, but the truth is, women, by nature are going to be more security conscious than men, especially in terms of, well-being of the family, what they're eating, how love is distributed. This is all part of what keeps the family safe on an internal. And I think that it's something realistic that, both parties in a relationship have to talk about. Do we have enough money? What's our aspirations for money? And we know, okay, no plan is ever going to go 100%, but it's to really talk about if the money runs out, or put on the positive level, what can we do to increase the money in this relationship? There's got to be a focus on it because it does matter.
Well, definitely got to focus on it, but the question is are we saying that's the reason we're together in the first place, because of the money, or are we together because of love, and because we love each other, let's figure out how to make the money situation work as well?
I think there's some people out there, only because, there's some people are doing everything at some time. There are some people out there that'll be like, I'm with him because of the money. And if that's the case, they're going to have to be realistic and tell themselves, well, this necessarily ain't a real relationship. And I think some of them are okay with that. Yeah, well, he could leave you. Well, it's fine because I have a backup. Or do this like, well, she pays the bills, she pays my car note. Well, what happens if she leaves you, bro? Oh, it's cool. Don't worry. I got another one somewhere. And of course, it's packed with instability. Do you know what I'm saying? It stops them from loving. So what they're gaining in money, in it's not what they think they're gaining in security. There's nothing secure about it. They're not necessarily building a relationship. So
I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier in the sense of the relationship has the most chance of success, however we choose to define success, when two healthy people get together and then create a healthy relationship. Part of being healthy, well, the word healthy comes from the word whole, which means nothing missing, nothing broken. So in that sense, just like we want to be healthy in our physical well-being, physical, spiritual, mental, it also helps when we're healthy in our financial well-being, when both parties are healthy. Doesn't mean they both have to make the same amount, but both at least are healthy in their finances or in the way that they choose to make finances work for their relationship, so that it works in a way that both parties feel content and at peace with the dynamics. No one's feeling used and no one's feeling like they're taking advantage of someone else, because that ultimately doesn't seem like it can be sustainable in a healthy way long term.
No, I agreed, absolutely. There's relationships and then there's healthy relationships.
Right.
And you're right. What you described right there is the healthy relationship that everybody on paper always says, oh, I want that. But
yes, that's the goal, yeah.
But they never necessarily have the understanding or the information from the hard-earned lessons to get there. And creating a relationship on something like money or sex or looks, no. It may be a relationship. It's not going to be a healthy one, and it's definitely not going to serve anything long term. So, it's a lot of interesting stuff. Talking of relationships, though, just quickly going back to the classic on the 25th, because I'll be working on that this week. We're going to be starting to release a lot of promotion this week. So again, anyone out there, meet my types. You need to follow us on social media. Just type in Meet My Types on IG, Facebook, on Twitter, and start getting information about the event. If you mention a radio show, if you're actually planning on coming to the event, and the tickets are $25, all right? We've made it real cheap. If you're actually planning on coming to the event and you're hearing me now, you can actually go and get a ticket. When you type in a code, a discount code, just type in my name, TEM. Just type in TEM. You get the ticket for half price. All right? I'm going to put that up for maybe in the next 24, 48 hours. Let me see how many people respond. If you're listening to the show and you're trying to come to the event, you will get in for half price. You need to go to the website, www.meetmytypes.com. Type in TEM right at the end when you get asked for your discount code, and you'll get in for half. You get your ticket, your reservation for half price. I mean, I can't do no more than that. Any more than that, I'd have to marry you. Good Lord. So that's our little giveaway this week, and probably for the next 4 weeks. So outside of that, Krystal, what you got going on for the rest of the week yourself?
Well, I am just going to be plugging away at getting ready for my launch in August, and I'm also in September going to be a part of a empowerment summit for women, and I'll have more details on that coming up in the next few weeks as well.
Wow, look at that. Okay, what's the name of the summit, by the way? Because I know some of these names. Is it like, some femme professional, womanpreneur, what's the, anything?
We're still in the creation. We're still in the creation process for the name of the summit, but I'll be sure to make sure it has a name like that. Just for you. I know how much you love those kind of names.
Oh my word. Okay. Okay, Krystal. Is there anything that you want to leave people with? Because you said a lot of good stuff today. So what do you want to leave people with? When it comes to these hard lessons, what's the last thought you have?
Last thought. Again, I just have to go back to the idea of being together for the right reasons. But before you even get together, make sure that to the best of your ability, you're both healthy individually, and then that way you can come together and be healthy as a couple.
That sounds about right. If anybody wants to get hold of you, because you got some good stuff coming up, right?
I do. Email is a great way, info@krystalscott.com. That's KRYSTALSCOTT. KRYSTALCOTT, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, Krystals, a guest is coming up. This is going to be wild, So now we set it up. People understand, okay, there are hard lessons out here, and now we are going to go into what those lessons are. And hopefully we'll get through, most of them. Folks, you need to write these lessons down because, trust me, you always hear stuff like, oh, relationships are hard work. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. No, those are the corny ones. Those are the ones that you know and you don't care about because you've heard them so many times. These ones are going to hit home. So we're going to have some great fun with Timna Augustine, and she's going to be breaking. I mean, man, when you guys meet Timna, no jokes. Look, you may have to come back next week, because I've already got a couple of messages like, oh, my God, she's great. She needs to come back. Oh, I love her laugh. Like, come on now. She's just laughing. That's not a qualification. That's not a qualification in life. A great laugh.
Who says that?
You can't put that on your resume. Unless you're going to work for the circus or something. I don't know. Great laugh.
Well, you know what? Apparently, it qualifies me to be a co-host with Tem'Ti. And right now, that works for me.
Yes, you got that job. Okay, maybe I am the circus. Okay. Well, look, Krystals. All right. Well, definitely. We'll definitely have you back. If not next week, we'll definitely have you coming back. Very, very, very soon. But we'll try and make it happen. So many great things to talk about. So, I want to make sure you have a great rest of the week, and we will do this again, okay?
Sounds like a plan, Tem'Ti. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right. You have a good one.
Sounds like a plan, Tem'Ti. I'll be looking forward to it.
All right. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Source Nation, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. But before I leave, let me thank our sponsors one more time. And they are Paper to Film Productions, Revolutionary Mills, Scott Cares Foundation, Urban Grandstand Digital, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend, Juice Bar Boutique, Ren Ovation, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. Also, Source Nation, once again, if you are in the ATL and you are single and you are interested in creating a relationship based on the classic values of respect, communication, honor, you need to come to Meet My Types. It's funny, Tim just spoke about the resume. What's on your resume? What's your trajectory for the next 5 years? How do I know we're going to be heading in the same place? We create relationship resumes for you. You guys, if you haven't heard about Meet My Types, you need to go to the website, Meet My Types, MEETMYTYPES, because it's all about meeting your type and actually experience how these authentic and real conversations are so different with people that are your type from the regular type of dead conversations you have with other people. We have an 80% success rate when it comes to people actually connecting and going out to second date. It's no joke. So right now, anyone listening to the show, you can go to the website from July 25th, and you will you will actually reserve your place for half price if you put in the discount code TEM. That's my name, Tango Echo Mike. TEM. So just type that in, get in for half price. Source Nation, any questions also for the show, any ideas, you can hit me up at meet at meetmytypes.com. All right, we had a wonderful show. Thank you so much for listening. There'll be more of it next week, bigger and better. You've been listening to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with me, Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti. Everyone, have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday. Love is all, and all is love. Peace.